We are all familiar with terms like imposter syndrome and dissertation procrastination. We've all heard other students or even ourselves say, I haven't done any work on my dissertation since this date. I just can't find the time to work on it. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with this chapter. I hear this stuff all the time, and I've heard it so often from students in my 20 years of working with them. So I wanted to do a video on something that people generally aren't talking about when it comes to the problems that students have with their dissertation. When I was researching this video, I was looking at the search terms that people use on Google when they're looking for advice about their dissertation, and I kept coming across stuff like this. Can you write a dissertation in 2 weeks? What happens if I fail my dissertation? I also came across a lot of services that say they'll write your dissertation for you in exchange for a not inconsiderable amount of money. And it got me thinking, with some students, how do they end up there? Have we got to a point where we're sitting in front of our laptop or on our phone, typing into the Google search bar, can you write a dissertation in 2 weeks? Or seriously considering just paying someone to write it for you? What is the deal with that? I think that when you're typing in that kind of stuff, you're fearing failure. You've had the oh shit moment, you don't have a lot of time, and frankly, you feel like you have monumentally screwed up. And one of the things that people say to themselves in these situations is, how did I let it get to this point? How have I got myself into this mess? Fear of failure is most definitely going on at this stage, right? But I don't think it's always been failure that people fear in relation to their dissertation. I think there's something else that they've been scared of beforehand, which has turned into a fear of failure. And that, lovely viewers, is a fear of success. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're like, really? Now, I was super skeptical when I first came across all this stuff about the fear of success too. But as I read more about it, as I thought about my students' successes and my own successes, I became quite convinced that there's something in it. That's what we'll be looking at in this video. For those of you who haven't visited my channel before, welcome. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I've spent 2 decades working in UK universities supporting students through bachelor's, master's and doctoral dissertations, and I am making it my mission to share everything I've learned in that time on this YouTube channel. I want to give you helpful, implementable, do something about it today type advice to make sure that your dissertation is the best piece of work that you've ever done. So let's dive in. Here's what I'll be covering in this video. Firstly, we'll be thinking about what you actually want from your dissertation, and then we'll be exploring why you don't want these things. Stay with me here, all will become clear. After that, we will be identifying things that you can do to tackle the fear of success. What do you want from your dissertation? Now, I want you to just take a moment to think about what you want from your dissertation. What do you want to achieve? What's it all for? What are your goals? Is it a particular grade in your undergrad or master's degree overall? Maybe a first or a distinction. Maybe it's to get your PhD and call yourself doctor, which, full disclosure, does feel pretty cool.
Is it Miss or Mrs?
Neither, it's doctor. Is it to feel accomplished? Is it to master the research process from start to finish by doing your own projects? Is it to prepare yourself for a career in research? Is it to understand more about an issue or a group of people that your dissertation focuses on, so you can go and work more effectively to support those people? Maybe you need this degree because it's a prerequisite for promotion in your job. You can't get onto the next rung of the ladder if you don't complete it. It also helps to think about what your dissertation will enable you to be available for a graduate job, available to better serve other people, available to be a role model for others, like people in your community or your siblings, available to make more money, available to embrace the kind of lifestyle changes and opportunities that would involve, like taking on a mortgage or a bigger mortgage or getting a better car, available for status and recognition and authority. We don't often sit down and take the time to think about these bigger picture motivators. We kind of know that they're there, but maybe they were part of a decision that you made months or years ago, and you feel a bit detached from them now that you're in the weeds trying to actually do your dissertation. So I would recommend that you take a few minutes to make some notes on that and pause the video if you want to. We're shortly going to move on to the next section of the video, but before we do, if you're finding this video interesting so far, and if you're kind of curious about what's coming next, but you're sort of excited at the same time, take a moment to hit that like button. Give me a cheeky monkey like. It really does make a huge difference in ensuring that other people can find the video too. Okay, so next up, we're going to look at why you don't want those things that you've just written down. Ooh, yeah, I know. This one can feel really weird, but it's a very important step, so please don't skip it. Go through your list, whether that's the list you've written down on a piece of paper, typed up on your phone, or just made in your head. Take each of those things in turn and think about all the reasons why you don't want them. So, say for example, you need to finish your dissertation because the degree that it's part of is necessary for you to get into a particular profession or a graduate scheme. Why don't you want to get into that profession or onto that graduate scheme? Is it because that comes with a particular type of pressure and responsibility and a level of expectation about how you should perform in that role? When you really think about it, do you feel that you're not worthy of that? Are you a bit intimidated by the kind of people who work in that field? And if you were to get into that field, what would the reaction of your friends and family be? Is getting that job going to make you available for other things? A mortgage, a relationship, or another form of long-term commitment? And how do you feel about that? Like, honestly. Let's take another one. Say that your reason was because you wanted to become a role model for others. Why don't you want to be a role model for others? When you really confront your feelings about this, are you harbouring some underlying stuff about not being good enough? Are you thinking about what being a role model entails in terms of showing up, in terms of setting an example, in terms of having people respect you and want to emulate you, and people needing things from you? Make sure that you dig deep on this one because it can be incredibly revealing. It can help uncover all of those thoughts and feelings that might actually be holding you back from succeeding. Because there are some fears about what follows on from that, about what the implications of that are. Think carefully about things that you say to yourself on a regular basis here. Because we all have limiting beliefs. I know I do. We all have those sentences that start with things like I can't, or I'm not, or I'll never be. What are you saying to yourself about your dissertation? What's that internal monologue saying, that one that's rattling away in your head? Also, think about the kind of things that you are doing or not doing in terms of your dissertation. Are you setting aside time to work on it and getting nothing done, or not getting as far ahead as you know you could be? Are you procrastinating? Are you focusing on the barriers, the things getting in your way, or the skills that you don't think you have? When we look really closely at all of these things, what becomes quite clear is that they're all part of the same process. Self-sabotage. All of these things that you're unearthing are essentially ways in which you are effing yourself over. You are holding yourself back. There's a part of all of us that keeps us playing small because we're actually a bit scared. Not of success itself, but of the implications of success. Success always represents some kind of change, and as humans, we love the path of least resistance. We are not big fans of change. And it's important to remember that self-sabotage is essentially about protecting ourselves. It's about keeping ourselves safe, staying in our lane, not rocking the boat, not challenging expectations that we or other people have of ourselves. So when we're procrastinating, when we're putting off working on our dissertation, that is not a mindless thing. There's a reason why we're doing it. That reason might not be immediately obvious, but if you look hard enough, you will find it. And you'll be like, yeah, shit, I am totally doing that because of X, Y, or Z. And what you need to do next is to get really clear on where you stand now on some of those blocks. And the phrases I don't do or I am available for can be a really helpful way of reframing things. I don't do procrastination. I don't do stuck. I am available for prioritising my dissertation. I am available for creating boundaries around my time and saying no to people sometimes. I am available for receiving help from others. So get really intentional now with some very clear statements about what you're doing from here on in. Next up, we're going to look at some action that you can take today to start chipping away at those blocks you've identified. Let's start smashing through those barriers that stand in between you and a brilliant dissertation. Before we get to that, if watching this video is really making you think and you've already had a little light bulb moment, however faint or flickering, then subscribe to my channel because this channel is packed full of helpful advice to get you moving or back on track with your dissertation. I've had some really good feedback about the mindset type videos I've done so far. So there's going to be more of this stuff on the way, as well as all of the traditional content that I cover, like how to write your introduction or how to review the literature. And I would not want you to miss any of them. So lastly, what should you do now? We are going to identify some actions that you can take today to tackle the issues that you've unearthed so far and bring in some of those positive, clear statements that you're going to use to fight them by literally programming your brain for success. This stuff is really powerful. It literally changes your wiring up here. And I'm going to share one of my favorite tools with you now, visualization. Visualization is when you imagine how your dissertation is going to play out and you get really detailed about it. Your mind is an amazing thing when it comes to visualization, and I'm just going to give you a very quick example to get you in the zone. I just want you to take a moment, close your eyes if you want to, and imagine walking into a shop that sells donuts. Can you smell them? You pick up a donut from a basket on the counter with a pair of those plastic tong things. Can you imagine how the plastic tongs feel in your hand? You put the donut in a paper bag. Can you sense how that bag feels to hold? The noise that it makes when you crumple it. You pay with your card, holding it over the machine. You hear it beep. You get your receipt and you leave the shop. When you get outside, you open the bag. You take the donut out and bite into it. Can you feel the texture of it? Can you taste that? You can visualize your senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tasting. They are incredibly powerful. And you know what? I have like the worst donut craving right now. And there is a supermarket, like literally a 10-minute walk over there. So I may very well take a little wander after I finish this video. So in the same way that we've just visualized buying a donut, you can visualize your dissertation. Take a bit of time to yourself over the next few days and really home in on what you want to happen at a particular point in your dissertation. For example, when you hand it in, when you get your grade or outcome for it, or when you're celebrating having succeeded. Let's take when you find out your grade or outcome. If that's via an online portal, you're going to imagine where you'll be when you log in to find out, where you'll be sitting, how that chair will feel, the feel of the keys on your laptop or the screen on your phone. Imagine seeing that grade on the screen, the physical feelings of finding out that you have absolutely smashed it, that gasp, that laugh, that shriek or victory dance, if that's your thing. Imagine how your body will be feeling, how the people around you will react, congratulating you and saying, I knew you could do it. If you have an in-person viva or an oral defence of your thesis, you'll imagine walking into the room with the examiners. You'll envisage what you'll say to them. You'll hear the sound of your own voice confidently answering their questions. You'll imagine what you'll be wearing, the feel of those clothes on your skin. You'll imagine sipping from a glass of water and what will happen when the examiners tell you that you've been successful. You're going to imagine how their hand will feel as they shake yours if you're a handshake type of person. If you're not, imagine how else they'll congratulate you and feel all of the sensations that come with that. Put yourself in that place, in that room. This kind of exercise is a phenomenal thing to do, and I actually do this myself in terms of my goals, and there's one little thing that I do to make it even better. You might want to try this too. I record myself as I talk through one of my visualizations in this calm and soothing voice, and then I edit it and I put some lovely music in the background and I play it back to myself regularly. The reason that I do this is because the most powerful voice you can listen to is your own. So when you create your own narrated visualization, something quite magical happens. It literally programs your mind for success. It makes it real, tangible, inevitable. It's just happening. Once you get over that skin crawling feeling of hearing your own voice playing back to you, it does work. So give it a try. And yeah, a quick little side note here. My husband used to think that I was completely batshit crazy for doing this woo fluffy stuff. But after I've been doing it for a while, like every day for a good few weeks, things started happening. One of the things that I was programming into my brain was this. I make myself available for my business to grow and impact the lives of more people. And obviously that was part of a longer visualization that I'd recorded and I was playing back to myself. And after I've been listening to that every day, sometimes a couple of times a day, more people started showing up in my DMs, more people started emailing me, more people started getting in touch, asking if they could work with me, asking about the services I provide and the products that I sell through the Degree Doctor business. And I don't think that was a coincidence. But whether it's me getting energetically aligned with the universe, or whether it's my subconscious mind starting to drown out limiting beliefs, or whether it's a bit of both, it bloody well works. And it's worth a try. Now, if your immediate reaction is,
Oh no, if I do that, people are going to think I'm nuts.
well, let them. I would rather be called nuts and be successful than not nuts and be unsuccessful. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this video about how to identify a fear of success, what to do with those bugs that crawl out from under that rock when you lift it up, and how you can start reprogramming yourself for success and call time on that self-sabotaging behaviour and those self-sabotaging thoughts. I want to end with a quote that I use a lot, which neatly sums all of this up. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. If you want to watch any of those sections again, scroll to the relevant chapter on the time bar below or click on the chapter link in the description. I'm going to leave it there, apart from just to quickly say that if you found this video helpful and you would like more tips like this from me into your inbox every Wednesday, become a Degree Doctor Insider and sign up for my email list. If you sign up right now, you get access to these lovely freebies that are going to help you stay on track, or indeed get back on track with your dissertation. I will be back soon with more dissertation tips.